our next speaker is Annoesjka, who's a national officer speaking on behalf of NAPO.
Comrades, first of all, I bring you solidarity on behalf of NAPO and apologies from Ian Lawrence, General Secretary, who wishes for it to be another very successful conference today. Now, last year when I spoke, I told this conference we were in negotiations over a 3-year probation pay claim for members in England and Wales. The offer that came back, though it fell far short of the claim we submitted with Unison and the GMB, was accepted by each of our respective memberships. But due to the cost of living crisis, we submitted a claim to reopen that pay award. Now, since then, we have been in intense negotiations for about a year with the Prisons and Probation Service in the Ministry of Justice over this. But just in April this year, they confirmed they were refusing to reopen that pay award. Now, also since then, we've seen even more pressure heaped up on our members because of this government's mismanagement of the criminal justice system. For example, the dangerous and flawed end of custody supervised license scheme. This is all about prison over capacity. And we have also been in talks over this, but the recent end of custody supervised license scheme going up from 30 to 60 and now 70 days, all to reduce the huge prison overcapacity, has thrown probation again into an even deeper crisis. And there has been no recognition of this by ministers. Whilst huge amounts of money can be found for the prison estate, and also recently we got sight of figures showing the disparity in the numbers of staff employed in the prison system compared to probation. That does not seem to be any recognition of this impact of this on probation and for our members. The fact of not wanting to reopen our pay claim, along with a number of other disputes that have already been lodged with the employer by the probation unions, and together with the lack of meaningful progress around our workloads campaign called Operation Protect, and which we launched last June, are now the key reasons for us being where we are now. This is why NAPO, together with Unison and GMB, have embarked on an indicative ballot. The closing date for NAPO is the 5th of July, after which we will be consulting with our sister unions and with our next National Executive Committee over the next step to potentially move to a formal industrial action ballot in the autumn. Now, NAPO very much endorses the NSSN manifesto. Our NAPO manifesto asks for probation in England and Wales. We want a royal commission into the criminal justice system. We proposed that joint motion with the POA, the Prison Officers Association, at last year's TUC. So we call for a commission across the whole criminal justice system to fully review and evaluate what has gone wrong and develop solutions to the current crisis. We want to take probation out of the prisons and probation service and out of the civil service. NAPO AGM policy is to get probation out of the civil service and free from prisons. We need a probation service that is based in the local communities it serves and not run by policymakers in the Ministry of Justice. We want devolution of justice in Wales. NAPO AGM passed a motion in 2023 to support the devolution of justice in Wales. This would be a step towards a locally run service and for Senate scrutiny over its own probation service. We want emergency funding for front-facing services and staff in probation. Our Operation Protect campaign over workloads has highlighted the chronic staffing and workloads crisis in probation. So we are calling for urgent emergency funding to invest in staff carrying out additional work to ease the prison crisis. And we want a future government to engage with NAPO. Whoever forms the next government must engage with us as a matter of urgency to fully understand the probation crisis and work with us to develop a long-term strategy for solving the many problems probation faces. Our members are the experts and can play a vital role in finding solutions whilst maintaining best practice. For probation in Northern Ireland, again, we want to see investment in the probation board for Northern Ireland. Historically, PBNI has always been underfunded by central government, so we're calling for increased investment to ensure the effective running of the criminal justice system. Funding is vital to enable probation to retain skilled staff and interact effectively with other agencies such as health and social care and prisons. On the family court section, we want to get family courts out of the Ministry of Justice also. Like probation, CAFCAS has been chronically underfunded for a number of years that has resulted in stagnated and uncompetitive pay, with many staff leaving, and has prevented the service from developing its good practices. We want additional funding to that. Additional funding would enable CAFCAS to develop policies for the benefit of families and children. An independent service would focus on improving the services available to all, especially those that are not able to financially afford access to legal advice. It would also ensure our members were no longer held back by the civil service pay remit. Now, on Panorama, some of you may have seen the Panorama program, Can the Probation Service Keep Us Safe? An undercover reporter managed to get a job at an approved premise in Kent. I can only say that staff and members I've spoken to felt very violated by this program, a bit like someone had just broken into your home. Now, this is under investigation now with the employer as a result, as there are rigorous vetting procedures and plenty of staff are being punished for failing vetting procedures. So we do not understand how this reporter managed to get this job without failing these vetting procedures, but that by the side. What it did point out was the state of probation and how badly under-resourced the service has been for over a decade now, such as not having the money for this one approved premise to buy more drug and alcohol kits and keep those high-risk offenders under check. It showed how changes made by the Ministry of Justice, something done now by a central referral unit, again shows how the probation service needs to be taken away out of the civil service. Our members are telling us, under this early release scheme also, they haven't got the capacity, and moreover, they are feeling undermined, undervalued, and deprofessionalized. And basically, they are just telling us that they feel like they're running a travel lodge. Now, around Operation Protect, our extreme workloads campaign that we launched last year, public safety is really at high risk as a result of this. The extreme understaffing and the retention rates linked to the pay rates for the job that brings such extreme demands on our members is now our main focus. That's why we've been taking our campaign to the public also, with regional rallies launched first this February. We had one in London and in Sheffield in May, and just a couple of weeks ago in Cardiff. We were joined by PCS members and supporters from the NSSN also. We're looking to hold one in Manchester and in Birmingham up next, and I've got leaflets to take away with me if you can come and see me. I will keep the NSSN informed also, as it will be good to get solidarity out with us on these lunchtime rallies, as we try to inform the public of this acute crisis and help us put pressure on the employer and the next government to look after and show some respect for the daily job our members do. And if this is not forthcoming, action surely will be unavoidable for us in the near future. Thank you. Solidarity.